What's up, y'all? Welcome into the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining me today. Lots of things to get into today. You know, we talked a little bit yesterday about some basketball stuff. I've got some more of that today, but I've also got some interesting football talk. One NFL team has a passer rated above Trevor Lawrence. We'll tell you about that. Other things we'll get into. There is COVID has kind of struck and wreaked havoc across the sports world, man. It's a mess. Shout out to Alan watching on YouTube, buddy. How are you today? All right, so a lot of things to get into today, and I tell you what, man, I got to kind of start. We'll start on the basketball front for a moment, and then I want to talk about the football story with Trevor Lawrence. Joe Buck, by the way, this little broadcasting story that made me laugh. Joe Buck openly admits that he and Troy Aikman used to drink tequila in the broadcast booth. uh, can you imagine if we got like Lawton Swan to hit the tequila before he went on the air? That would be funny. Teddy Hefner has a little bit of a mimosa in the morning. I couldn't imagine coming in here hammered doing this show. It might be fun though, but we'll talk about that. That should be some interesting stuff there. John Beilein, the former Michigan / Cleveland coach, is said to be in the stages of, hey, maybe he likes this other job. We'll get into that. Dan Mullen also denies reports of speaking to the NFL about coaching jobs. Yeah, there's a lot of messy stuff today that when I was putting the show together, I was like, you know what? I don't really have a lot of great sports news, but I have things that are just interesting to me. So I'm going to share those with you here this afternoon. You know, I joke this is ADD on the radio, and it really is. So let's start with the COVID-19. Yes, I know people don't want to talk about COVID-19, but the Clemson basketball team has the worst luck ever. They just finished up winning 4 out of their last 5 games in conference. They're 5th in the conference right now. So everything is all right as far as that goes. I just hit the microphone. You're not supposed to. Don't do that. That's not good. Anyway, they've won. They're 5th in the conference right now. And what happens? They get a COVID-19 pause, meaning that one of their players may have it. I'll tell you what. We'll just let Coach Brownell explain it. Here you go, Coach. Have at it.
Yeah, I don't really know a lot. We're still, you're still kind of trying to find all that out. We, obviously had the good win on Friday, and we're off Saturday. We practiced yesterday a little bit, and had taken some tests, and then got a couple tests back that were positive, and contact tracing, and now you're just trying to figure it out and make sure that it doesn't get going through your program. So you're, trying to be cautious and take care of your players, and that's really all I'm at liberty to share right now.
Are you even, and again, I don't know if you can even share this, are you even able to practice now, or are you completely paused?
Yeah, we're off at least for, probably 2 or 3 more days to figure out what's going on. I think, at the end of the day, we've been fortunate that we haven't had, many players get it. So, that's a good thing. But obviously, it's a dangerous thing too. So we've had some, and we got to be careful. And so no, we're on pause here for at least a couple of days to try to, test and find out how rampant it is in our program. Hopefully it's like the last time, it wasn't too many folks, but you got people that are contact traced and, out for 10 days, and a couple people that are obviously had or out a week or whatnot. So we'll just see what happens here the next few days.
All right, so there's Coach Brad Brownell. And the first thing is that was during the ACC teleconference. What they normally have. When do I sit in on that? That's on Monday. There you go. Anyway, so that's on Monday. That's yesterday. So they just announced yesterday, and then he's got to do the teleconference, and that's what he comes out with. Now, the first thing, you had the beeping there. The bing, that's everybody's text message thing or whatever on your phone. I automatically, just to share this with the audience, if you do that anywhere near me, I generally step back and take your medicine, you idiot. Someone should have said that to Coach Brownell yesterday. That'll break people of having their phones on during teleconferences. Seriously, if you do that and I'm on a teleconference with you and we're in a meeting or whatever, I'm literally going to yell at you, take your medicine. Shame people into getting it, because then they'll look at you and be like, I don't take any medicine. And then you look back at them and you say, well, you should, so you can remember to turn your damn phone off. I'm such a stickler for that. I don't know why. But phones are interesting too. Since we're talking about that, I have lunch with some friends of mine probably once every 2 or 3 weeks. We take our phones and we put them in the middle of the table. And I've learned just to turn mine off. That way we have to actually converse with each other. And we have to converse with each other and make sure that we can actually just talk. And see, that's the cool thing there. If you pick up your phone, you have to pay for everybody's lunch. That's how you break people of that. Anyway, now I'm sounding like the old man in the lawn, though I constantly use my phone. But anyway, that's what's going on with the Clemson basketball program right now. Absolutely one of the worst things that could happen to a team right now that seems to be cresting at the right time. So if you want to talk about Clemson hoops, we can. There's really, in the grand scheme of things, they've got Notre Dame, and they've got that game has been rescheduled. And since that, postponed. So since that's postponed, they're supposed to play their next game against who's the next game? The next game is against Pitt on Saturday. So there you go with that. And with that, that's all you've got. Now, South Carolina was supposed to play Tennessee tonight, but Tennessee's got issues. So that game was moved to tomorrow night at 9:00. So everybody thinking, hey, I'm going to watch the Tennessee-South Carolina game tonight. You're going to turn on your TV and you're going to be mad. It's not happening. So with that, you look at all of this stuff and you look at the people that are, it seems like every day I get something from the ACC office or the SEC office saying we're either moving or we're rescheduling a game or whatever. When I thought about it the first part of the season, I had problems with it. I was looking at it from this perspective. What I mean by that, the problems that I had was with the NCAA tournament all being played in Indiana in a bubble. We know for a fact that if you do a bubble correctly, it works. So how do we know that? Because the NBA did it and it worked. So if you want your bubble and you can make that work as far as the NCAA is concerned, have at it. I put that out there to say this. I want March Madness this year. I want those 2 glorious days in March where generally I take off, to be honest with you. I might do that this year. I might just do the show, come in, do the hour show, and then leave. I might do that. But I want to crown an actual champion in basketball. The sport needs that. So if we're going to have that, we've got to have the best teams in the tournament. So if I'm a team like a Gonzaga, if I'm a team like a Michigan, if I'm a team like even Ohio State, insert your top team here in your conference. Okay. I am on the status of we're not playing in your conference tournament. If you want to crown somebody else, fine. We've already won the regular season title. If I'm the number 1 seed, I'm not playing. Because even regardless of how you feel about COVID, you can have your schedule stopped simply because of a quote unquote pause. I do not want a pause that's going to hurt my team's season. I don't want a pause that's going to hurt a team like Clemson right now, where they're having to stop when they're red hot. Okay? So with that, the conference championships this season need to go away. Crown your regular season champion. Let the selection committee know that's our champion, and then go from there. Because where you're at right now doesn't work. The thought of a conference championship season or conference championship week, it doesn't make much sense. You know what? And people say, well, we have the tradition of this and the tradition of that. We didn't have it last year. We don't need it this year. I know it's going to hurt some teams. And I know people look at teams like, you could be a 4 seed in a tournament and make your way into a tournament. And I understand that, and make your way into the conference tournament final and then possibly get a berth in the NCAA tournament. I think that's great. But on the other end, one slip up of a pause, and you could take out a number 1 seed who had a legitimate shot. What happens if Gonzaga in the goes to the WCC tournament, and on Sunday they can't play in the final because of COVID testing, and they've got 10 days. So you go from Sunday on, that puts them for the next week of the tournament, they're out. In theory, the number 1 team in the tournament could be gone simply because of a COVID pause with contact tracing, where in reality, with the contact tracing, in theory, from what I've gathered and what research I've done, and I'm not a doctor, by the way, you could have these guys out and they're healthy and ready to go. It's a mess. 803-978-1832 out of the phones. And good afternoon. Welcome to the Rundown.
Hello, Rob. It's Bobby and Casey. How are you?
Hey, Bobby, are you calling to tell me I'm wrong about COVID?
No.
Okay, good.
I'm calling you to tell you I'm very angry. Why?
You're angry at me?
No. Gus Malzone stole our coach from Manny Diaz in Miami.
Yeah.
Travis Williams, who coached at Spring Valley, actually was at Miami for 15 days, and now he's on Central Florida staff as Malzone's new defensive coordinator. That's why I'm angry. I'm not here to get angry about COVID.
Well, we can't get angry about COVID because we can't do anything about it. But
okay.
The thing that I take away from that, and I'm sorry that your defensive coordinator was lost for your team, but here's what I've got on that. Coaches are not loyal for anything. They can be selling you their programs the absolute best in the world and shove you up the river in the next second. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care at all.
Manny Diaz is the defensive coordinator, though. Don't forget.
Well, let me make sure that you know this too. Central Florida right now has the most established coach in the state right now, and
Absolutely.
they're probably gonna out recruit the majority of the teams there for at least the first year or two.
Yeah, and also that's interesting too. Dan Mullen said the spring games canceled at Florida today.
I did not know that, but I did know that Mullen did put out something about he wasn't talking to NFL teams. So
yeah. Scott Strickland, I guess that's the athletic director.
Yeah,
announced that the spring game is canceled. But that's the thing. That's a real good point, because national and local shows, I'm not going to name any, but have brought up quite a bit in the last 24 hours. Malzone's the best college coach in Florida.
Right. Well, I mean, I look at the coaches that are down there, and I'm talking about the coaches that want to be there. It's hard for me to count Mullen because I think he's trying to get out. But the rest of the coaches down there, I look at, is anybody else down there 3-5 against Nick Saban? No.
Nope.
No.
And another show that was on this morning brought up, who does he have to compete against in the American Athletic? Well, there's Memphis, there's Houston, and there's Cincinnati.
Right.
So I mean,
That's
look at all,
that's a pretty good G5 conference though. When you've got those
it is,
those four
yes,
there,
it is.
I mean they're
Yeah,
pretty good.
But the thing is, who is talent rich? It's Florida, of course. I'm from there, so I'll say that. Although Texas is too, but who pulls the better talent? And I'll say you saw Scott Frost, who I believe was insane to leave Central Florida. That's a different story for Nebraska.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't know how strong Texas is right now. I mean, a snowstorm has shut the state down, so
Well,
I'm not picking at them,
well,
but yeah, it's a mess out there in Texas, brother.
Houston hasn't done much of anything in sports, University of, since Phi Slamma Jamma basketball with Hakeem Olajuwon and then Andre Ware, the Heisman Trophy winner, was a total flop with the Lions.
Well, I mean,
But
the baseball team cheated to a World Series. We're not going to give them that.
Well, but I'm talking about the Cougars, though. I'm not talking about professional. I'm talking about the Cougars. When I'm looking at Malzahn's competition in the American Athletic, until they do something goofy like decide they're going to go with the heavy hitters in the SEC. If they ever formed a supposedly super conference in the Southeast. So I mean, that's interesting because, get Clemson out of the Atlantic Coast Conference and get Central Florida out of the American Athletic and bring all the heavy hitters and make it one big 20-team super conference. But then, of course, people will be crying if they do that because they won't make the playoffs every 10, 20 years. So then they have to expand the playoffs.
Well, the idea of super conferences where you have, I guess, let's say 4 20-team conferences, that's an idea that's been out there. I don't think that I think that the ACC would pick up some teams and the SEC would pick up some teams, but
absolutely.
I don't know exactly how that would work out. I think that there'd be some people that are fighting over UCF to bring them into their conference. Because remember, as far as and you know this from being down there, I'm just giving this to the audience that's out there. As far as enrollment, UCF is the biggest college in Florida. So people seem to forget that which means they've got the biggest alumni base as well. So
exactly.
There's that to deal with too. But I think UCF would be one of the more interesting things. But there's little things to look at too, like as far as conferences realigning. I don't get why, and this is something that I've talked about. I don't know if I talked about it a good bit, but why is West Virginia in the Big 12? That doesn't make any sense to me. It's insane when you think about it. And people talk about Mizzou in the SEC. I mean, Mizzou's not exactly south of anything. I mean, it's closer to Canada from Mizzou than it is to, down to Gainesville. But whatever, man. Conference realignment's going to be interesting because I think that's going to happen.
Yep. And then they'll expand the playoffs too. Then we'll be more. Then it'll be more interesting because how many more blowouts we'll have in the playoff where everybody wants to go back to number one against number two, the BCS formula.
Yeah, man.
Makes good talk show material for the.
I'm trying, brother. You're right about that.
All right, man. Take care.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks, man. All right, one more call here. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rob. It's Ray. How you doing?
Ray, what's up, brother? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I've kind of been looking over this thing called Gamecock basketball and Coach Frank Martin. And one thing that I found just amazing. And I know you probably recall this, but we're not, because it seems like ancient history now. But when Frank Martin came in and took over for, what was the coach that didn't get it done here? I can't believe I can't think of the guy's name. But anyway,
I know you're talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. But so when he came in and he took over, I mean, he basically inherited scratch. I mean, he started this program from scratch. He inherited nothing, part of me, and within first couple years, you're right around 500, a game or two under 500, which you understood. He's putting a team together from scratch, basically. Third year, you started seeing something. Fourth year, it was just 2 end of the season losses to Georgia that kept us out of the tournament, which a lot of people still thought we were a tournament team. But anyway, so by the fourth year, we were a pretty good, solid team. And then the fifth year, we had that run through the Final Four. So basically, in the first 5 years, he took a team from scratch and got them to the Final Four, which was extraordinary.
Yeah.
The next 4 seasons, and counting this year, full seasons, our combined record is 56 and 54. And it's just amazing that he took over a program from nothing and built it, and then he built it to that and the program's done nothing but gone down the wrong way since then. I just find that amazing.
Yeah, and there's that too, but there's something else too to think about here. You've got the thing with South Carolina, I believe, and I had it in my notes, but apparently his contract, as far as Frank Martin goes, is scheduled to go through 2023. So what that means is that he's going to have an extension. If you want him to go out and recruit, you can't expect him to go out and recruit young men, and they don't see that his contract is where if they're going to be there for 4 years, that he's going to be on staff. So now it comes to a point with South Carolina, unless something's changed in the past day or so, do you re-up Frank Martin? And I know that sounds silly because I've been somebody that's defended Frank Martin, and I think he's a great coach. My son, if my son were the kind of athlete that could go and play for him, I'd want my son to play for him because I know that he would love him. It would be a tough love. My son would have to have his stuff together, but I mean, he builds men. That's what he does. In addition to having them be great at basketball, just the results haven't exactly been quite there on the court. And my thing now is with the Gamecock administration, I wonder if they're kind of snake bit after what they had to do with Will Muschamp, where they gave him an extension because they technically kind of had to. Do they do the same thing with Frank Martin? Because there are coaches that are out there that coaches and other programs that are going to look at that and be like, oh, you have an offer to South Carolina. His contract, it ends in 2023. So in theory, he may not be there. They'll tell kids that. So
yeah, of course.
it
Absolutely.
hinders. If you care about the program, you want them to either A, cut bait with Frank Martin now, or B, extend his contract. It's as simple as that. So some decisions have to be made on that front. And me personally, if I were sitting in Ray Tanner's chair, you re-up Frank Martin. You give him at least another year. That way he's got a 4-year contract. Now, you can get behind the scenes and tell him, look, we need this to happen. And, we got to do this or that or whatever. But if you don't re-up Frank Martin, I think it sets the Gamecock basketball program back at least 2 years. So,
yeah, I think you're exactly right, Rob. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And I think where it comes down to with me, I don't blame Frank Martin. You get all the money you can, and he is a good basketball coach. I personally, on another note, I just think his style of play is kind of faded out. I mean, basketball is now more of a I'm trying to use the word anesthetic, pleasing to watch.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's the whole
it's
adage
more
of
hockey check.
Yeah, it's the adage of you want guys that can go one-on-one and dunk and shoot threes and everything else. Winning with defense and things like that, nobody wants to do that anymore, even though Virginia won the last national title with that because with their their Wolfpack defense or whatever it is they call it, where they're basically in your jersey the entire game. Yeah, I mean, that can win you games, but kids don't want to go and play in that. They want to go where they can shoot the basketball, and that's it.
Yeah, and I'll say that UVA, they do have a couple guys that can shoot the ball too, though. You're right. They play a great defense.
Yeah.
But what I was going to get back to before I get off the phone, Rob, I know I'm taking up all your time, is
sure.
I think the issue over at Carolina aren't necessarily the coaches, whether they can get the job done or not. I think it was when Ray Tanner, I think Coach Martin's kind of in the same shape that Will Muschamp was. I think Martin's a way better coach, but what I'm saying is, I remember with Will Muschamp, pardon me, no Freudian pun there, but I remember Coach Muschamp, he had a 4-year contract, and he had finished 7-5, and you could read the tea leaves, you could see the team wasn't trending in the right place, and we accepted that bowl bid to play Virginia in the Virginia in the Outback Bowl. We got destroyed, but right before that game, so Coach Muschamp has a 4-year contract. Tanner decides to give him 2 extra years. So instead of 4 years, he's got 6 years, and that's kind of what put us back. And I'm going to kind of use the same terminology with Coach Martin. He went to the Final Four, and that was a wonderful thing. But the thing is, see what the guy does the next year, next 2 years. Don't go ahead and sell the farm. And what did Tanner do? Instead of the 4-year contract, give him a 6-year contract.
I'm with you on
6-year
that.
contracts have been kind to us.
Yeah,
And
the
I think
6 years I can get, but we're talking about a guy that took you to the Final Four. And I mean, I know that people get tired of hearing that, and they're like, yeah, that was so long ago. Look, they only have one set of Final Four teams a year. And I know that in football, on the football front, we talk about the CFP and all of that, and there's only 4 of them there. I get that. But the difference between football and basketball is this. Frank Martin's basketball teams are competitive every year. You could walk out on the court, and it's not like you're thinking, for the most part, yes, we have the opportunity to win this game. That's the feeling that you have when they go out there. It's not like you're Vanderbilt, who's 1-15 and whatever in conference play under Jerry Stackhouse. So there's a big difference there. But
that's true.
I think that giving him the 4-year, giving him the deal where he gets at least one more year is what the Gamecocks need to do. All right. Hey, man, I appreciate you calling the show, buddy.
Thank you very kindly. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I want to play this clip from the other day. This is Frank Martin after they lost their their last game. This was on the 10th, so it's not too long ago. And he was upset. And he said something that sounded very Will Muschamp-like. Check this out.
I don't have an answer for you. That's the frustrating thing of the moment that we're in right now. And it's not because of what happened in December. I mean, we've been going now. This is week 4 where we're going at a consistent basis. We got older players. We got guys that should understand the sacrifices that players before them have made to create the atmosphere that we've built here. Because let's sit down here and let's be honest here. We've got the 3rd most SEC wins in the last 5 years in the whole league. We've got 19 or 20 top 20 wins since I've been here. Yeah, so it's a lot of guys have sacrificed a lot to build that because those numbers didn't exist here before we got here. And it's disappointing that guys have been in the program for 3 years and 4 years slip up in that moment like that.
Well, there you go. And what was the comment? Yes, we've had X amount of wins here in under my watch. We've had top 20 wins under my watch. It's the same thing Will Muschamp was saying. And when you have that, it kind of not to knock what he said, but wow, that sounds almost like Coach Muschamp. Let's see how that sits with Gamecock fans. 803-978-1832. Do you want to re-up Frank Martin? My buddy John online says Martin deserves a lifelong contract for the improbable Final Four run, unless your school is a blue blood. Let me make sure I read the whole comment here, because if not, he'll be texting me later telling me, "Oh, you didn't read my whole comment." Let's see here. Yes, unless you're a blue blood school like UK, UNC, or Kansas. Yeah, but here's the other thing too. There were problems when Frank Martin got there. The BB gun incident in Rosewood. You have other things that are there, but overall, he pretty much runs a clean program. And I know that people are going to say, "Hey, there's the violation stuff," but if you dig really deep into that, that's not really on Frank Martin, to be honest with you. Justin online says, "Nope, Frank Martin shouldn't get an extension." To quote Josh Pate from the 247 Sports Channel, do you have somebody better that would make sense? Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
I have a question.
Sure.
I saw with the women's, the NCAA tournament, they're going to hold it at a bubble.
Yeah.
They're going to do the same thing for the men's tournament?
All the men are going to be playing in the state of Indiana at different spots throughout Indiana. Yes, sir.
Around Indiana.
Yep, around Indiana.
All right. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. All right. One more call before we get out of here. Good afternoon. Welcome to the rundown.
Rob, how you doing, brother?
Hey, man, I got about 90 seconds. What you got?
Well, I'll have to make it short and quick.
Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm just up against the break, man. I wasn't trying to cut you off too quick, but what you got for the show, man?
No, not a problem. I'll make it short. Double O can make it short and quick.
All right, let's go, man.
All right, I'll tell you who. I don't care about Frank Martin, but I'll tell you BB. I'm not going to tell. I'm not even pronounce his name. That's how much respect I got for him. BB, y'all know who I'm talking about. Don't give him an extension, please. Lord, let him go. Porthole. let him check that porthole out. That's a nice narrow corridor.
Fair enough, friend. Fair enough.
Adios, amigos.
Thanks, man. All right, Double O joining us on the program. Look, we could talk about Brad Brownell as well, but Brad Brownell hasn't had the success that Frank Martin has had at South Carolina. And I know people get tired of hearing about that Final Four run, but we shall see. We shall see how that goes. If you want to talk a little bit about the conference realignment, some folks were talking about drop this team, kick out Louisville or Notre Dame or Pittsburgh or Syracuse or BC. We'll respond to those comments in just a moment. Don't forget, Fox Sports Radio 1400 wants to pay your bills. 12 chances to win $1,000. Listen for the nationwide keyword to text and win instantly. All the contest times now are at foxsportsradio1400.com. Be sure to check that out. All right, quick break. When we come back, we'll have more for you here on The Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Huffer Billy, what a great name. I agree with you on that. SEC Dog is correct. Don't isolate that tape there, SEC Dog. That would not be good. Me just saying SEC Dog is correct. That's not going to help matters. I do agree about Brad Brownell. I've interviewed Brad Brownell like twice. And he seems like the kind of guy that he seems like a history professor to me. And what I mean by that is that if you're sitting around and you're playing pool or whatever, and you start talking about, like, I don't know, the Revolutionary War or whatever, he's the guy that would know everything about it. You know what I'm saying? That's just the vibe that you get from them. I mean, he's got an in-depth basketball mind that, I think that maybe he's not the best CEO, maybe he could be just a great assistant. I don't know. I do wonder about Frank Martin, though, because with his contract being up, Gamecock fans, you got to be thinking, what's up with that? So Sports Talk actually tweeted out, sources tell us the Gamecocks will not extend the contract of basketball coach Frank Martin after this season. Martin is under contract through 23 and has been seeking additional years. I'm looking on the Sports Talk feed, and they deleted that tweet. So make sure that maybe I'm wrong. But that is from the Sports Talk Twitter feed there. I'm looking through their whole feed. It looks like they deleted the tweet. So I don't know what the hell Phil Kornbluth's doing over there. No, that's still there. There you go. You guys see that? Yeah. Sources tell us the Gamecocks will not extend the contract of Frank Martin. There you go. So that's out there. What a mess. Some woman named Janet Williams followed me on Twitter. Shout out to Janet. Brad Brownell doesn't look like he gets angry. I mean, maybe that's why I like Coach Martin enough, because it seems like he has the passion. Like, you see him get up in guys' faces and stuff like that. Maybe I'm just a Bobby Knight guy down in my heart, and I'm thinking that's how you're supposed to coach. Coach Bailey Harris out at Lexington, he would get angry, but I remember him. He was the coach that was there when I was in high school, and I was like, too short to play. But, there's that. But I think there's different ways to communicate, but sometimes you have to jerk a knot in somebody's butt. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Got to be able to do that. I don't know how all that works, man, to be completely honest with you, as far as the passion for it. We shall see. We shall see. Steve Spurrier would get, he would get angry if they lost. Dabo Swinney gets mad when they lose. There's that too. I don't even know. But that's the thing, though, with Clemson and South Carolina. Who are you going to get to come here? That's the big thing, too. And I know people get mad when I say that, but I mean, there's good things about both schools, I guess. Oh, goodness. Need some more water here. Throat's about done. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio, 1400 around the world in the iHeart Radio app. My name is Rob Sanders, 803-978-1832. We're going to talk about, in a moment here, we're going to talk about one team supposedly has another passer they think is better than Trevor Lawrence, which is kind of funny. Then again, they get paid to evaluate, so that's on them. Wrapping up the basketball talk here, Huffer Billy Paul on YouTube says he doesn't think that Brad Brownell is passionate enough. You got to be able to have some more passion. I get that. I get that. I like the coaches that get angry after you lose. Can you imagine being Nick Saban when they lose a game? His little 5'2" self running around throwing his step stool that he has to stand on to be able to go eye level with some of his linemen. That kind of thing I pick at Coach Saban, but you get what I'm saying. He's going to be angry. Coach Spurrier, but in the years that I've worked with our best Gamecock coverage, he always seemed like he was just not happy after a loss. I don't think anybody likes the happy-go-lucky type thing. They want the guy that's going to go in there and basically, yeah, we lost. We got to fix it. This sucks. Let's go. That kind of mentality. Seems like that era, though, is kind of gone. And it's biting a lot of coaches in the butt. What I mean by that is that we've got a lot of players now that are doing things like opting out and changing schools and everything else. So Monday night, a perfect example of this, Duke freshman forward Jalen Johnson, after 13 games, opted out of the rest of the season. He basically went to Duke, went through the first semester, and just said, I'm going to play 13 games and I'm out. Wow. And it's fueled by the mentality of the microwave society where we want everything done yesterday. Why couldn't this have been done yesterday? Why can't we win now? Yes, we're a team that didn't play well last year, but we should be able to win the conference this year. That's why Duke right now is not ranked. Coach K has gone to the adage of, yeah, we're going to go after the one and dones. And he's won some games like that. But look at the teams that go after the one and dones this year. Kentucky is garbage. I mean, hot dog water garbage. That's the best term that I can use for Kentucky right now. Where they won like 5 games. No disrespect to Georgia, but Georgia's not historically a great program. They went into Rupp Arena and won. Duke is not Duke this year. North Carolina is not that good of a team. A lot of these places that are getting the one and done guys, they're just not doing it. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number. And you got that guy, Jalen Johnson, heading out. Jay Williams, Duke alum, says Jalen Johnson needs to do what's best for Jalen Johnson, period. Well, respectfully, sir, I don't think we should ask your opinion about Duke anymore, because ESPN shoves you down our throat when there's anything about Duke. And we're supposed to think that you're the voice of reason when it comes to the Duke basketball program. If you're saying that this guy should do what's best for Jalen Johnson, period, we can get that from any analyst. Hell, I could have told you that from here. Just saying. Stop with the nonsense of, oh, well, he should just do whatever he thinks is best for him. And that's fine if you believe that. But you're put on the air because of your career with Duke. It's amazing how they'll use that to, he needs to do what's best for him. What's best for him is to get his college degree, because a lot of times, the NBA doesn't work out. So when people say, oh, well, they should do this and that, is he projected to be a lottery pick? Some people have him high. Some other people have him low. It's not like he's LeBron James. He's averaging, 13-6 against ACC play? Just saying. It's frustrating when you see some stuff like that. So with that, though, we have all of this feeding into it, and that's why we've got a lot of guys that are opting out and moving on, or transferring from here and transferring there. And you can't, a lot of the quote unquote blue bloods, especially in hoops, they're not going to be blue bloods anymore, because they built on the tradition that they have there, and all that's gone now. And they're relying on these one and dones, and the one and dones are telling them, nope. We're going to play for now Jalen Johnson, not even a season. We don't get to see Jalen Johnson go into the tournament and then go from there. JW with an excellent point online. If they were winning, I bet he wouldn't quit. You're probably right. You know why? Because he wants to go in to the NCAA tournament where he has the opportunity to shine in front of everybody else. JW with the quote of the day online. You are absolutely right, sir. I promise you, after this break, we're going to lead off with the organization that has another quarterback. We'll talk about that. Rated above Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. Someone actually put that out there. We'll explain that when we come back. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. I'm at Rob Sounds Good. You can watch live on the Fox Sports Radio 1400 page. Blog page is up at foxsportsradio1400.com. Yep, all of that's there for you. My blog stuff goes up there. I blog all kind of stuff. So, I could give you a complete rundown of it. It's just a bevy of sports information and a lot of me acting silly. Go check that out, foxsportsradio1400.com. My name is Rob Sanders. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is The Rundown, Fox Sports Radio 1400. I wish you know what? I'm going to highlight that so we can leave that there. There we go. We'll cover up the name of the show for a minute, because you're absolutely right. If they were winning, I bet he wouldn't quit. That is, if you were in town, I would buy you a beer at Callaway's, sir. Buy you a beer at Callaway's. Officials always thinking, if I throw this flag, Nick Saban's going to go nuclear on me, and my family back home in Alabama is going to see it on TV. You know what, though? Like, I haven't been like the big time official or whatever, but I've umpired a lot of baseball and softball games and stuff like that. I don't care. I don't care what these people come at me with. I've had pastors and big business leaders here in our city that have come up and, well, I don't like this and I don't like that. And I just tell them point blank, look, your job is to play the game on the field. My job is to make sure the rules are followed here. I'm doing the absolute best that I can. I'm not trying to cheat your team. Go back to your dugout. That's how I would feel with Nick Saban. And you know what? If he came to me and said, you know what, you blew that call, I would tell him point blank the same thing. I have no desire to screw your team over, sir. It's not what I don't clap my hands when I wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I'm going to screw over Nick Saban. I don't do that. Literally tell him that. And you know what? Nick Saban's the kind of guy who would be like, I don't like the call, but fine. Because he knows he can complain to me, but I'm not going to do anything about it. So there's that. Officials that get upset from coaches? No, man. No, that ain't working. That ain't working at all. Final segment of the rundown this afternoon here on Fox Sports Radio 1400, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is, of course, Rob Sanders. Follow me on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. One NFL team has Trevor Lawrence ranked second at QB. Now, everybody talks about him being the consensus number one. I don't think it's going to matter because Jacksonville is going to be the team that's going to take him. Let's not throw anything out there other than that. And to show you how savage Urban Meyer is, he basically let 16 other coaches come to Trevor Lawrence's workout day on Friday just so they could get a look at his next quarterback. That's pretty much what that boiled down to. He's not going anywhere other than to Jacksonville. Simple as that. Unless someone makes a trade of 8 first-round picks or something crazy like that, he's going to Jacksonville. But according to this report, NFL teams and scouts, of course, have had time to pore over tape. One team has a new number one quarterback atop its big board, and that's BYU's Zach Wilson. From the NFL insider Matt Miller, he says what he does as a thrower and as a runner is exactly where we are as a league right now. That's what Miller says. He throws some of those 50-50 balls with his shoulder square to the defense after running around in the pocket. And I'm seeing Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech all over again. Okay, Matt Miller. Okay, sir. Look, I think that it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But in the end, I don't think it's going to matter. And, you know, Zach Wilson may end up being the better quarterback. But potentially, I just think Trevor Lawrence right now is the safer pick. And that's what Jacksonville is going to do. We were discussing during the break about the fact that officials and stuff, maybe Nick Saban getting into it with officials or whatever. I think it's interesting that people think officials could be scared of an opposing coach or what have you. I've never been that way. When I used to officiate, I was just telling point blank, I'm not here to cheat you. So it's a basketball game or it's a baseball game. What's the problem? I don't know. The NIT, according to the NCAA tournament, they have made their decision. The NCAA has. There will be a 2021 NIT tournament. Per insider John Feinstein, the tournament will invite 16 teams to the field. So normally there's 32 teams. This year there'll be 16, all of them going to New York, which is kind of a throwback because it used to be held in New York through 1975 with 16 teams. So that should be interesting. That, of course, coming from John Feinstein. So the NIT is probably going to happen. And that's interesting, too, to say the least. Get that tournament back. I tell you what, man, last season it just felt like it was so strange because we didn't have anything to talk about for a long time here on this show. And it seemed like every day it was COVID this and COVID that. Now it's like we're getting the more positive end of it, and I'm happy about that. We're getting the more positive end of it of, yes, me this afternoon as we get you rolling here, heading into what is going to be supposed to be a big basketball weekend, but we may not have it as far as South Carolina. And I tell you what, you got to check out his program today. He's got some great stuff for you on the vast Clemson Sports Talk Radio Network. Let's head out to the phones. Oh, now my phone's acting silly. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. All right, final thing for today. There was a segment with, I think it was Colin Cowherd, and they were talking with Joe Buck about drinking on the job in studio. And Joe Buck admitted that at one point he used to have a little nip in the studio with Troy Aikman, which to me, this is pretty hilarious. Check this out. Oh, not that one. This one.
It took longer for Troy and me to get there than it took Smoltz and I to get there. And I'll say this. We have had that glass of bourbon in the booth, although it's not bourbon. It's tequila, splash of Grand Marnier, and grapefruit juice. I went through a couple of years where in the first inning of every postseason baseball game, I had the runner go get the biggest beer that the stadium sold. And I had it sitting there, and I would sip it from time to time to remind myself to relax and have fun. I'm just doing a game. And I brought that over to football, but because Troy is a man of finer tastes, beer somehow became tequila, Grand Marnier, and grapefruit juice. We haven't done it in a long time now, but it was good for a stretch. And I feel like it's a good mental trigger to just chill and remind yourself that you're not refueling an F-16 in mid-flight. You're doing a sporting event. And if you treat it like anything other than that, you're doing yourself a disservice.
There you go. Joe Buck, considered one of the best of all time. He admits that he used to drink beer, but then Troy Aikman is kind of an uppity type guy. He's a little, one of those guys that has like the bleached napkins. You know what I'm saying? He's one of those guys. So he had to go to the tequila. With that, I'm going to pitch that to management here and tell them that I should be able to drink on the show. Why not? I have a couple shots of Screwball. Get us going here. Why not? That could work out, right? The crowd loves it. Zach says, yes, who doesn't enjoy a nip from time to time? Huffer Billy says it is sports, relax and have fun. I'm going to send a bottle of good bourbon to my buddy Lawton Swan, who's next. I don't think he drinks bourbon, but hey, why not? We'll let Lawton Swan drink some bourbon before he goes on the air. That'll be fun. have him over there doing his thing. That would be interesting. By the way, check out Lawton's Huffer Billy says, you don't now, Rob? Oh, we'll just have to put that under wraps. Does Rob come into the studio half drunk? Oh, no, not really. Anyway, Lawton Swan is up next.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
Yes, Swan. He's over at the over there at Castle Day Swan with the alligators and the moat and all of that. Yeah, that's what he's got going for him right now. He'll be up with you next for Clemson Sports Talk. Be sure to check him out. Also, Teddy Hefner in the mornings on from 9 till noon. Podcast for the show is up at 5 o'clock. If you can't catch the show, and we try to make it easy for you, it's all over the Fox Sports page. It's on the YouTube channel. You can find it there. You can find the show on Twitter as well at Rob Sounds Good. Podcast is like DVR on the radio, man. Listen wherever you're at. My name is Rob Sanders. I'll be back at it tomorrow. Kevin Fitzgerald from ESPN joins us then. And then the day after that, we have, of course, Joe Healy from Baseball America. So all of that for you coming up this week. This is the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah, I should come in hammered. Maybe I have. Maybe I have had a drink or two. I guarantee you with the Rob and Kale show, I have to drink heavily to keep up with Jackpot. Got to drink heavily to keep up with him. All right, you guys rock, man. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Hey, like the show. Hit the like button up there, please, if you're on YouTube. That helps us out a good bit. Thank you, guys.